Buenas tardes, población, ¿cómo están? Bueno, muchísimas gracias por venir. Este es el primer evento que vamos a realizar en el marco de un proyecto de investigación PAPIME que tiene por nombre Metodologías de la investigación y procesos de enseñanza en el estudio de economía política internacional / economía política global. Este es el primero de una serie de eventos que se van a realizar a lo largo del semestre y el día de hoy tenemos la gran oportunidad de poder conversar con un profesor increíble que viene desde un lugar muy, muy lejano. Ahora se los voy a presentar, ¿no? Pero justo decíamos que el profesor Nestorovic, Cedric Nestorovic, proviene de un país del ex bloque socialista, da clases en el sur global, aunque se formó en el norte global, pero y está muy en contacto con un espacio geográfico que actualmente está en guerra no guerra. Pero bueno, antes de darle la palabra al profesor Cedovic, voy a cambiar el idioma porque el profesor Cedovic habla inglés y francés no hablamos. En términos de francés no nos gusta tanto el francés, pero sí podemos hablar un poco inglés, o eso al menos decimos. Les voy a dar la bienvenida al profesor Cedovic y les voy a leer su semblanza curricular. So I have to say in Spanish that we have a welcome, very warm welcome from you at the Faculty of Political and Social Science, de Universidad de la Nación, ¿no? The University of the Nation. So please feel free. And this is the Students of International Relations from two different subjects, international economy and international political economy. As you don't know, but Professor Cedrovic also have lectures in the first years of the Faculty of Economy and Business International Business. So he used to have this kind of conversation with students like you, right? So let me introduce you to the students. I will say in Spanish, and then we return to English. Okay, well, Profesor Cedrovic tiene un doctorado en geopolítica por el Instituto de Ciencias Políticas de la Sciences Po en París. Ajá. Imparte clases de geopolítica y marketing internacional en la Escuela Superior de las Ciencias Económicas y Comerciales ESSEC Business School, haciendo especial énfasis en los negocios y la gestión islámica. El profesor Nestorovic escribió en el 2007 el libro Marketing in an Islamic Environment, libro pionero en su momento, traducido al inglés, francés e italiano. Actualmente trabaja en el campus de Asia-Pacífico de ESSEC Business School en Singapur. En 2012, el Financial Times le otorgó el título de Profesor de la Semana por su contribución al léxico sobre finanzas islámicas. En 2013 fue nombrado director de la Maestría de Administración y Negocios de la ESSEC para Asia-Pacífico y actualmente es director coacadémico del Centro de Geopolítica y Negocios en ESSEC Business School en Francia. Pues bueno, vamos a dar paso a the keynote speaker of how can small and middle powers make their voices count in this mess global arena. Please, Professor Cedrovic, your floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I'm very glad to be with you today. As Dr. Mariana has said, I'm used to teach to students who are maybe even younger than you, because I'm teaching the first year students and they can be 17 or 18 years old. How old are you? 20? Who is 20? Who is 18? You see? We have 18 people. 17? No. So 18, 19? See? 20? 21? 20? Well, so usually I'm teaching to students like you, but in the afternoon, I'm teaching to executive. Executive means people who already work and they are coming for additional training. And usually they are from 40 to 55. So in the morning, I'm speaking to people like you, and in the afternoon, I'm speaking to the parents. So it is so this is the thing that we have there. Okay. So as Mariana has indicated, I was born in a country which doesn't exist anymore. So this country was called Yugoslavia. Maybe you heard about this country. So Yugoslavia was one of the main countries of the non-aligned movement. And the non-aligned movement was very important at that time for the countries which did not want to be aligned with the US or with Soviet Union. So they found this third way. So this third way was called non-aligned movement. The leader at that time from Yugoslavia was called Tito. Maybe you heard about this name. So in Chapultepec, there is a statue of Tito. So if you go there, you will find this. And you had other leaders coming from Indonesia, Sukarno, and from Egypt, Nasser, and from India, of course, here we are talking about, not Gandhi, we are talking about people coming after him. So we have the non-aligned movement, which was extremely important at that time. But I left the country when I was very young. And I was living in France for 40 years. 40 years in France, and now 15 years on our campus in Singapore. Singapore is far away. So it took me more than 25 hours to come here. So, and there is no direct flight. So you have to go to one place and not to go to some other places. So concerning my the things that I'm teaching, I will just indicate in a few words. So next one, please. So I'm teaching two things. I'm teaching geopolitics, and I started to teach geopolitics about 30 years ago. Of course, you were not born at that time. So 30 years ago, it's a very long time. And I'm also teaching Islamic business. And Islamic business is something which is quite particular, but we have to bear in mind that in the world, we have 1.6 billion Muslims. 1.6 billion Muslims. And these people, they have a specific consumer behavior because religion is imposing something to them. So this is why you can have Islamic finance, or maybe you heard about halal food. Do you know halal food? Did you ever eat halal food? Okay. Did you ever eat kebab? Do you know what is kebab? Okay, so usually kebab is halal, but we have to check from time to time. So very big business, but we are not coming here to talk about that. Two other things. I launched a program in Bahrain. Bahrain is a very small place. It is an island between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And it was 15 years ago. And I'm still the academic director of this program. So this is why I'm going to the Middle East and especially to the Gulf quite often. Coming here, I was coming with Emirates Airlines. So I came through Dubai. So from Dubai, I stop in Dubai. From Dubai, I'm going to Barcelona. From Barcelona, I'm coming here. On my way from Barcelona to Mexico, I see on the CNN, Israel is attacking Iran. So I was practically among the last planes coming from Dubai. After that, they closed the airport. So now to come back, I don't know how I will do. Maybe I will swim to go there. So we'll see what will happen there. So this is the program that I have there. And in my participants in this program, they come from 3 countries. They come from Saudi, they come from Kuwait, and they come from Bahrain. So we are very aware about what is going in these countries because there are big changes, especially in Saudi Arabia with the crown prince. His name is Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS. So he introduced many changes in the country, especially concerning women. Because I remember 15 years ago, all the women coming from Saudi Arabia, they were wearing the hijab. Do you see what is a hijab? Huh? So they were wearing the hijab, and they must have a mahram. Mahram is an Arabic word which means a companion, someone who will take care of them. So it can be the father, it can be the husband, or it can be the son. In that case, the son has power over the mother. So this was a very difficult situation. They could not drive, they could not do anything, etc. Today, they are coming alone, they drive to come to Bahrain, it's completely different. In 15 years, the things have changed tremendously. So this is what we have there. At ESSEC. ESSEC is a business school. So this is why I'm dressed like this. I'm like a devil, because I represent the business point of view. So the business point of view, we have a big business school in France, and we have 2 campuses. One campus in Singapore, which exists for 20 years, and another one in Morocco, in Rabat, in the capital city. So this is why I'm going to Rabat also quite often. So big school, we have about 8,500 students, so we cannot compare to UNAM. Huh? You have, I don't know how many people here. Nobody knows. Huh? So we cannot compare to UNAM, but we can compare to business schools within the universities. And in this domain, we are much bigger. So we exist for more than 100 years, very well, etc. Within the school, we have 4 institutes. An institute is the place where all students must go through. They don't have a choice, whatever they study. The first one is called Together. So this institute is about diversity. Diversity and inclusion and ecology. Everything associated with climate change, etc., we study in this university. All the students of the school must go through this. And today we have visited the pavilion of biodiversity. It is here. Have you been to this pavilion? It's a nice pavilion, huh? So you have to visit this one. The second institute is called MetaLab. This institute is dealing with artificial intelligence and big data, especially applied in business, because we are a business school. And the third thing is entrepreneurship, because we are teaching our students how to become entrepreneurs. Okay. The last one is the Institute for Geopolitics and Business. And it has been funded last year. And it is called Geopolitics and Business because of the book. Here is the book. So this is my book, which is called Geopolitics and Business, that I wrote during COVID. Because, do you remember COVID? When you were stuck at home, you cannot move from home, you don't know what to do. Same thing for me. So I wrote the book. But at that time, I didn't have ChatGPT. Today, it's much easier. You go on ChatGPT. You know what is ChatGPT?
Of course they know. Maybe you and I not.
No, but do you use it? Hey, I was testing it, and I found it very good. I was putting some questions, and it gives me the answers. I'm saying, wow, I forgot about this one. And this guy doesn't forget anything. He gives everything that he have there. So, okay. So I wrote it during the COVID. It is called Geopolitics and Business. So this is why I'm also giving from time to time talks to the diplomatic academies. A diplomatic academy is the place where you are training the future diplomats of one country. And here in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have Instituto Matias Romero. That is the name of the institute when I was there. And this is how I also met the gentleman who is sitting here, Mr. Eric. Mr. Eric is coming from Panama, far away. He was swimming to come here. So Eric, thank you very much for joining us. So I was giving this talks to Mexico, to Italy, to Portugal, to Indonesia, to many other places. It means that professors at business school, we are teaching people like you, but we're also teaching business people, very often, business people. And there's business people and not necessarily in the country. So this is why we have to travel. And I was traveling to many places. Among the latest places, it was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, especially for two companies. One company is Nestle Middle East, and the other one is Etisalat. Etisalat is the biggest communication company in the country. And it is interesting because you are speaking to people that you don't live with. They have different cultural background, they have different life orientations, etc. So you have to adapt very much to that. And we also participating to, let's say, TV, but Mariana is also a star on TV. Maybe you have seen here. What is the TV channel you appear on, Mariana? So we have appearances. I remember it was on BBC. It was one day on BBC in Singapore. It is at 6 o'clock in the morning, so you have to wake up very early. So you are going there, and usually when you are going for an interview, they give you the talking points. The talking points is the questions that usually they will talk about. So I arrived there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you have all the screens around. So it's a TV studio. I'm looking at this, I say, wow, it was the day several years back when Ariana Grande was in Manchester and there was a terrorist attack and there were many kids killed in Manchester. So I was looking at this, I say, wow. The anchor, the journalist is looking at me and saying, did you see this? I say, yes, you know what I expect from you. So all the talking points, forget. You have to talk about this. So we have the same thing about what is happening in Iran today. So I'm coming to a place, I prepared everything, and they say, please forget about that. We are much more interested into something else. So this is what happens to us quite often. But today, maybe no, but we are open to questions. And the reason why we have this kind of conversation with people who are young like you, we are not the same generation. So it is interesting to see how do you look at the world today, and can we give you some advice for this? My people who are 17 and 18, they usually accuse my generation for everything happening. For climate change, for wars, for catastrophes, for everything. So I look at them and they say, yes, we are guilty. But let's move on. Let's try to find some solutions. So in the world today that we have a certain number of superpowers, okay? So now the question is to know how many superpowers do we have? Because the definition of the middle and small powers will depend first on the definition of what is a superpower, okay? So according to you, what are the superpowers today? Don't tell Mexico. No. We'll put it aside. What is a superpower? Give me one name. China, what else? The US and Russia. So usually we stop there. India, no. Because the peculiarity of the superpower is either you're looking at the economic point of view or you're looking at the political and military point of view. And from the military point of view, Russia is still a superpower. From the economic point of view, not very much. But from the security, yes, they have the same number of nuclear heads as the United States. No other country can approach. They have about 5,000 nuclear heads. After that, you have China with 500. It is 1/10. So we cannot compare. So for this reason, it is a superpower. Another reason is that Russia is home of all natural resources. Everything that you can imagine, you can find in Russia. It is a geological anomaly. No other country has all these natural resources. So for this reason, it is a superpower, but not from the economic point of view. India could be a superpower from the economic point of view, they still need time, but it is not from the military point of view. So this is why we are putting it aside, even if from the demographic point of view, it is the country number one. So automatically, we would put India as a superpower. So if we have only 3 superpowers, all the rest is small. In Singapore, the former prime minister, he used to have to cite a proverb coming from Africa. And this proverb is referring for him to US and China. And he is calling them elephants. He said, when the 2 elephants fight, the grass suffers, and we are all grass. But when the 2 elephants make love, the grass suffers too. So we will suffer anyway, whatever they do. Would they be friends or would they be enemies? We will suffer. So in this situation, how can we make our voice heard? So this was the topic that we have prepared for today. So how can we make a voice heard? In fact, there are 2 ways. The first one is to become indispensable. And the second one is integration. So what is the first one? To become indispensable. It means, let's imagine that you have a small country or a middle country, we don't mind, and another country would like to take you, for whatever the reason is. It will not do it because of the interest. No one has interest to destroy you. And everyone has interest to maintain you like you are. So it means that you are indispensable. When you are indispensable, nothing can happen to you. So now the question is to know, what does it mean to be indispensable? And what can you find as indispensable? So I will give you a few options. The first option is you are indispensable because you have natural resources that nobody has. So in that case, everybody comes to you. They're saying, please, can you give me some? I say, no, maybe not. Let's discuss. So you have something that the others don't have. So everybody will come to you. One example, in the region where I am, the first country for producing nickel, and nickel you need it especially for the electrical vehicles, for the batteries in electrical vehicles. So the first country in the world is Indonesia. The second country in the world is Philippines. But if you're looking for lithium, the lithium, you have the golden triangle in Latin America. So here you're going to Bolivia and you're going to other places because this is the place where you are producing all this. So let's imagine that you are the only one to have this kind of resources. Everybody will come to you. It can be a big country and it can be a small country. A big country can be China. China, for the rare earth metals, we have about 17 of these metals. They have practically a monopoly of production. They don't have a monopoly of reserves because you can have rare earth elements everywhere. But they have a monopoly of production because they have built the ecosystem to transform the raw materials into something which is used by the industry. So today they control more than 95% of production. No one can go against this. Because other than that, where will you go in order to get this? A small country can be a country also having plenty of resources. I take the example of Norway in Europe. It is the only country in Europe producing oil. So when they had a problem in Ukraine because of the war, the European countries decided not to import oil and gas from Russia. So now the question is, from where will they import it? The only one which had this was Norway. So and Norway is not part of the European Union. So the European Union is begging on the doors of Norway, can you please give us some oil and gas? So it means that the country has become indispensable. You cannot live without this country. So indispensable country can be linked to the raw materials. You are the only one to have it, or the only one in this region to have it. So in that case, you can comment. Fine. What can be another thing? Another thing indispensable is in politics. And here we have people who are interested in politics. You will invent yourself into an honest broker. So what is a honest broker? It means that everyone will come to you in order to settle problems, in order to negotiate, in order to, okay. So the main country in this field is Singapore. Singapore doesn't have natural resources. So they transform themselves into indispensable for the whole world. For instance, when you had a President Trump during the first presidency, when he wanted to meet Kim from North Korea, where did they go? To Singapore. These people, they can go to any country in the world. But both of them, one superpower. But when Trump wanted to meet Vladimir Putin, where did they go? They go to Alaska. Alaska belongs to the United States. So Trump could ask Kim, please come to Washington. Or he can go to Pyongyang. No, they're coming to Singapore. Because Singapore is the place where everyone wants to go, especially in order to negotiate. So on the world scale, Singapore has this reputation. Second example, also from Singapore. Every year, they have a meeting. It is called a Shangri-La Dialogue. So the Shangri-La Dialogue, this is where you have the military bosses from the whole world. And it is the only place in the world where you have the chief of the Pentagon and you have the Minister of Defense from China coming. It is the only place in the world when they talk to each other. There is no other place. So Singapore has imposed itself as a honest broker. So no one has interest to destroy Singapore because there is no other place where they will go in order to find this kind of thing. So this is another example when you are indispensable. After that, you can become indispensable, especially when you have, I don't know, a big neighbor. So let's say the big neighbor is called the United States. And you are a country called Mexico. Imagine. I know it's difficult. But try to imagine. Usually, when we look at these two countries, we believe that the United States is much bigger, which is true, okay? And that the United States can impose some things on Mexico. Sometimes it is true. Okay? Okay. So now the question is, how can Mexico become indispensable to the United States so the United States will not initiate any action against Mexico? That's the challenge. Because if you can impose yourself as an indispensable nation, no one will go against you. No one. So we give you some possibilities. The first possibility is the economic possibility. So what is happening? The United States, not the United States, the companies from the United States, they have built manufacturing machine in China for the last 40 years. For the last 40 years, all American companies are going to China. And suddenly, we have problems. Let's say tariffs coming from Trump. And you can still import from China, but you have to pay so much tariffs that it is not no more viable for the people to buy these goods. So now the companies, they are thinking, should we come back? If we come back, it is called reshoring. Did you hear about this term? So usually offshoring is when you go abroad and you produce abroad because of the comparative advantages, because of everything. Okay. But reshoring means you are coming back to your country. And this is what Trump wants. He wants American companies to come back. And the American companies say, no way, because we love China. Not because they love China, it is because they have interest in being in China. No company will leave China because you have built an ecosystem in order to work there. Do you see what is an ecosystem? Eco is economy. So an economic system is when you have everything that you need there. And you don't have this in the other countries. For instance, I was working when I was young like you. I was a poor student, so I have to work and to pay for my studies. So I was working in the automotive industry. And in the automotive industry, I discovered how complex this was. Because in one car, you have more than 40,000 spare parts. 40,000. And they are coming from all kinds of companies. So if you are Chevrolet, or if you are BYD or something else, you don't produce everything. You produce maybe the engine and that's it. All the rest is produced by the others. So if I want to assemble a car somewhere, for instance, in the northern part of Mexico, it means that around me, I need all the suppliers to be there. Otherwise, I cannot have this kind of thing. So I have built this in China for 40 years. I invested billions of dollars. Why would I leave this country? Because Trump is telling me to leave? No. He cannot force me. So I will stay there. But there is a risk if I stay there. And this risk is maybe there would be a nationalization. Maybe China will retaliate. Plenty of things. So now all these companies, they have a strategy which is called China plus one. So China plus one means you still in China, no problem, but you need another country just in case, if something happens. And this is called nearshoring. Near. So this near, very often it is near the United States. Which country near the United States can compensate for pulling out from China with an ecosystem and acceptable cost of production? So you are becoming an indispensable country. So, because this is nearshoring. If I cannot bring companies back to my country, they cannot go to Zimbabwe. They cannot go to, I don't know, Kazakhstan. They will come here. They cannot go to Canada because it's too much costly to produce there. So they will come here. So for this reason, Mexico can be an indispensable nation, because not only it is cheaper to produce, you have the ecosystem, but we also have to see something which is very interesting for you, which is green production. Because green production means if I am an American company, I produce in Vietnam and I produce in Mexico, the distance from Mexico to the US is, let's say, 1,000 kilometers. But from Vietnam, it is 15,000 kilometers. So I am consuming energy to bring this back to the United States. So maybe for my generation, we don't take care about that. But for your generation, maybe ecology and maybe the climate is very important. So in that case, you need to have a production which is near your country, and it cannot be Canada. So there is just one candidate. So this is how we can explain that it is indispensable. Another way how Mexico can be indispensable is when you're looking at migration. And you know, in the United States, they freak out. When when they see Mexicans, they see, what is this? So they say, no, we don't want them Latinos, we don't want Hispanics, we don't want, etc. Fine. So how can Mexico can be independent? For the moment, in the United States, they are considering Mexico like a threat because all illegal immigration is coming from the border with Mexico. It doesn't come from the border with Canada. So it is coming from this one. So if I am Mexico, I would say, let's cooperate and let's organize immigration. Because in the US, they know they cannot live without immigration. So this is out of question. But Mexico can help the United States to control immigration. So in that case, you become indispensable. In that case, it is not stopping all immigration. No one asks to stop all immigration. But the two countries can cooperate in order to canalize, in order to control this kind of immigration which is coming to the United States. And in that case, the United States will be very grateful. And they will recognize Mexico as an indispensable country. So all this to say that when we say that one country is indispensable, there are several ways why you are indispensable. And every country, even the countries without natural resources, even the countries which are small or big, they can find a way how to, let's say, position themselves as an indispensable country. And for that, they finish with this for the first part, for that you need marketing. Because you are selling a country like you are selling Coca-Cola. So you have to sell Mexico. And okay, so you can sell Mexico. So it was 2 days ago, there was a free Shakira concert here. Who went there? No one? Just one? Hey,
You went to.
they told, I was there, but I was in the backstage, you know. No, I couldn't go there. There were so many people going there. I heard there were 400,000 people coming there. And you know, Mexico will also co-host the FIFA World Cup. Did you hear about this one? Okay. So this will be in 3 countries, in Canada, United States, and Mexico. If I am Mexico, I should use this event, the FIFA World Cup, in order to sell Mexico, because the whole world will look at what is happening here. And if you miss this opportunity, it means this is your fault. It is not my fault. I'm sorry, Mariana. But you have to sell the country. If you don't sell the country, in Singapore, they know how to sell the country. They have 0 natural resources. Even the water, they have to import from Malaysia. They don't have fresh water in the country. So they have 0 natural resources, but they know how to sell the country. And everybody wants to come to Singapore. So it is not happening, let's say, like a miracle. No. Singapore in 1965, when it became independent, the GDP per capita was the same as in Ghana in Africa. It was lower than South Africa in 1965. And now it is in the first 3 in the world. How come? What is the miracle? I can answer this question later on. This is a teasing, you know, like Netflix, you have teasing, and after that you have the movie. So what the middle and small countries can do, either you become indispensable, one thing. Second thing, integration. What does it mean? Integration is when you are grouping with other countries in order to have one common front, because you are attacked by one country or by the 2 countries, and you are alone, you cannot survive. So in that case, you need a group of countries. Okay? So a group of countries, it can be the European Union, it can be ASEAN, that we have in Southeast Asia. It can be any kind. Here we have US, Mexico, and Canada. What is the name of the USMC, what is okay. So you have this between the two North American countries. I have students coming from Mexico, and I want to challenge them. And I tell them, are you North America, Central America, or Latin America? Exactly. It depends how we are looking at it. So it was very interesting to discuss with them. This is important because depending on this answer, you will look for friends. If you are North America, you will not look for Brazil because Brazil cannot be North America, okay? If you are Central America, you will not look for Canada because Canada cannot be Central America. So your answer, it depends, has consequences because I have to look for my friends depending on this first definition. Who am I? So in that case, we have different groupings, okay? One large grouping is the United Nations, 193 states. And President Trump doesn't like. So he is making this board for peace. Did you see this? The board for peace. And the board for peace is based on invitation. Huh? Did you receive invitation, Panama? Huh? And you did not accept? You are naughty boys. No, not nice. Huh? Singapore received the invitation, it did not answer either. But Indonesia received invitation, they answered. So the board for peace, let's see what it will become in the future. But for the moment, it is presented like some kind of alternative to the United Nations or whatever. Okay, so this is one thing. After that, you have regional groupings. And you have something here in Mexico which is quite interesting, that sometimes people of your age don't even know about. It is called MICTA. So MICTA is 5 countries. M stands for Mexico, I stands for Indonesia, K stands for South Korea, T stands for Turkey, and A stands for Australia. Oh, I don't know any other organization like this, where you have advanced economies, such as South Korea and Australia, and after that you have the middle or emerging economies. Big. Indonesia is big, Mexico is big, Turkey is also big. So it is a unique combination that I see. So for the moment, they are dealing only with cultural aspects, but maybe they will decide also to enter in the economic aspects. So in that case, it will be very interesting to see how do they work together, and will they maybe accept some other countries within the club here, which is called MICTA. So this is the second way how countries can make their voice count. Because if you are small or middle, if you are alone, maybe this will not have an effect. But if you are within a group, and if you stand united in this group, in that case, even China and even the United States, they will have to look at you. Finally, these groupings are not necessarily comprehensive groupings, covering everything. No, you can have a group of this, you can have a group of that, you have a third one for this. Here we have some, so in that case, you can imagine a lot of different associations, which can be economic, but can be something else. And in that case, you present another, let's say, front to the US or to China. Because for the moment, China and the US are big, that's okay. But there are only 2 countries. We still have 191 countries. So 191 countries, they represent in total more money than these 2. They represent more population than these 2. They represent everything more than China and the United States combined. But they are not acting in a unique way. So they're acting completely in dispersion. So if they're in dispersion, it will be very difficult for them to present their case. So to finish, concerning this, Yeah, I had many slides, but I forgot about them. I was looking at the students, they're very nice. And they listen. That's a very good thing. So this is why you don't have to listen, to look at the slides. So in order to finish with this, for the middle states and for the small states, two ways. Either you are indispensable or you are working in integration. And very often you can put both together. And if you do this, the other superpowers, they must listen to you. They cannot ignore you. If you go alone, they will ignore. But if you go together, no. And if you are indispensable, they have interest to continue to work with you. Just one example concerning Mexico. Last year, I was here, and after that, I went to Washington. And I was talking to the Mexican ambassador in Washington. I was talking to him, and in the conversation, I asked him how many consulates Mexico has in the United States. I didn't know that. And he told me 58, more than states in the United States. And the consulates, they work with their own nationals. So it means you have so many Mexicans in the United States. I asked him, so you colonize the US? And they say, no, we take back what belongs to us. So that was the reaction from him. So the indispensable nation is the following one. In November, you will have midterm elections in the United States. They renew the entire Senate and 1/3 of the House of Representatives. In many states in the US, you have swing states. So it means that you need very few votes in order to go on the other side. So if the Mexican population believes that it has been betrayed by the United States, or if the Mexican population in the US believes that the United States is having a bad, let's say, relationship with Mexico, some of them will say, we don't vote for him. And if they don't vote for him, boom, we are swinging the state. So this is where you become indispensable, because you vote. And these votes count, especially in the United States. If I live in Houston, and if my mother is calling me, telling me, you know that because of Trump, I lost my job. You say, okay, I don't vote for Trump anymore. So that's the way how politics, which are usually, this is what we teach in a course about geopolitics. Either politics is international or domestic, or is it both together? In that case, it is both together. The international and the domestic are the same, and you cannot ignore it. So you become indispensable because of that. So I sold Mexico a little bit, okay? Now we can switch to something else. Anyway, I cannot speak anymore. No? So I will stop here, and we can open for discussion.
Thank you so much, Professor Cedomir, for this interesting talk, and very clear. I don't know what do you think about it. So, well, let's open to question and answer time. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. And we have this special microphone without cables. And please introduce yourself, say your name and...
What do you study?
Well, I think that everyone study international relations. I think so. And one of them study a master's degree in U.S.-Mexico relation, and one a PhD.
Okay. So before starting, if there are no questions, exam at the end.
Oh my gosh, you are in the professor mood. You are you are worse than me.
You see?
Please.
want to be integrated, don't you need to have resources? Oh, like, I don't know how to say it.
Okay.
You want to create the group that wants to see you have resources that just are political or economic way. So isn't it like kind of
It is incompatible. This is what you want to say. Which one?
You can say in Spanish. It's a correlation between.
Okay, fine. Can you introduce yourself? Hannah. International relations. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Again, I will use the example of Singapore. I have been living in Singapore for 15 years, so it's a long time. In Singapore, zero natural resources. In fact, the term resources is polymorphous because you can have different definitions of what is a resource. You can talk about natural resources or other resources. What can be another resource? It can be a financial resource. You don't have natural resources, but you have money. Don't ask me where the money comes from, huh? But you have the money and you can use the money. Or you can have technological resource. You don't have natural resources, you don't have finance, but you have the technology. Or finally, concerning Singapore, it is the population. The population is the ultimate resource. All the rest you can forget. But if you train your population, if you educate your population, you will win over anyone else. Because the state is training you, but the state is not telling you what you are going to do. You are using your own imagination. You are using your own entrepreneurship in order to do something. If I am the state, I am giving you the possibility to do it, but I'm not telling you what you are going to do. So in Singapore, they rely on this. They rely on education and they rely on meritocracy. You see what is meritocracy? Meritocracy is when you are hired or when you are given something depending on your hard work and talent. You have two variables. You have hard work and talent. If you have hard work and talent, you must succeed. And Singapore is promising you this. So we don't care who are your parents. We don't care what is your religion. We don't care if you are coming from a tribe or if you are coming from this population. Provided that you work hard and that you have talent, you will succeed. So this is why the pressure on education is such that sometimes we believe you are going too far. But that's the religion in Singapore. It is education, because this education will give you ideas. It will give you imagination, and you will create something. You will not depend on the others. You are the creators. So this is how they are looking at this ultimate resource. So when we talk about natural resources, or when we are talking about resources as such, we have to see which resource do we talk about. So in Singapore, they don't have anything else. They will look at people's resource. Concerning integration, they are saying, we want to be the country of mediation. So mediation means you have two states or you have two companies. They cannot agree on something. Where will they go for that? They will come to Singapore. And Singapore is a safe harbor for everything. So it doesn't mean that it is a wild harbor. Many people believe it is a tax-free country. No, we pay taxes. I know this because I pay taxes. So I know how much I'm paying. But the maximum taxes that you are paying in Singapore is 22% on your income. In France, it is 47%. There is a big difference. So they are attracting people from the whole world coming to Singapore. It is easy to open business, to do everything, etc., because they believe that the ultimate resource is people. And when you have a multinational company coming to Singapore in order to open a hub or in order to open a manufacturing unit, they know that they will find suitable persons for any position in the company. This is something you cannot find everywhere. You cannot find this. And everyone will speak English, even if they're Chinese, even if they're Indian or Malay. Everyone will speak the language of the business. So this kind of, let's say, importance which is made on education is bearing fruits, because the company comes there and they say, no problem. I need 5 engineers of this, you have them. I need 5 managers of this, you have them. I need a financial and accountant, I have them. You have everything in Singapore. So this is something that in Malaysia you cannot find, in Indonesia you cannot find, in the Philippines you cannot find, much bigger countries. You have 280 million people in Indonesia. You have 6 million people in Singapore. Why do they come to Singapore and not to Jakarta? Mainly because of this, because they know they will find the ultimate resource, which is people there. Another question.
Okay. Thank you so much. Another question, please. Okay, you have 1 question, then 2, and then 3, and 4, and 5, and that's it. Okay. Well, this round, okay? Please.
Hi, I'm Alejandro. I study international relations. And I have a question. I agree that in theory, the cooperation idea between different countries by promoting themselves as having some different advantages that some others can use in order to improve their own national interest. The thing is, how can you convince the national governments to implement changes in order to pursue that? Because, yeah, theoretically it sounds great, but then you have to convince the politics of your nation that that is a desirable pattern, that it's something that they should desire to achieve, and that they not only compromise to do into a rhetorical or narrative way, but also in a practical aspect. I mean, how can we, for example, as civic society, impulse in order to achieve that? Because, yeah, I immediately think to taking the example of the United States, perhaps using the voting system as a mechanism in order to propose or demands and so on. But how can you really fiscalize and secure that that is something that is going to be occurring in the long term, especially in democratic countries with different parties that are changing the power between year to year?
Alejandro, is that right?
Yes.
Your name? Alejandro.
Yes.
First of all, politicians, they don't like civil society. They're causing trouble. They don't like this, especially in countries where you have huge corruption. I don't know these countries, but okay. So they don't like civil society because they are asking questions, and very often they are asking rightful questions because they don't have answer. Or maybe they have an answer, but it's not a good answer. So they don't like the civil society. The civil society also, many countries has been, I would say, instrumentalized by the opposition parties. So this is where we have to be cautious. Is it really civil society, or is it a part of the population or a part of the body which wants to take power? Let's say that you are Alejandro, and let's say that you are 19 years old. And you are really fighting for the benefit of Mexico as a country, for everyone in this room, for everyone in Mexico. This is something which is laudable. This is something which is noble in order to pursue. But it may happen that in order to do this, you need resources, and you need financial resources. And let's say that here you have your friend who is coming from the opposition, and the guy is giving you the resources. So you will fight for the benefit of the country, but maybe he has something else in mind. So this is why we have seen so many times manipulations, because the starting point is a good starting point. you want change, you want equality, you want no corruption, you want everything in the country. But finally, maybe you don't even realize, but you are manipulated by someone else. And I have seen this in many countries. So now, in Southeast Asia, we had the so-called Gen Z revolts. Did you see the Gen Z revolts? Hey, you are not Gen Z. What are you? Are you Gen Z?
Technically, yes.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're Gen Z? 18 years old, you're Gen Z?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So okay, call us as you want. Okay, so you're Gen Z, fine. And the Gen Z, they are making revolt in Nepal. They're making revolt in Bangladesh. And they're making revolt in Indonesia. In Indonesia, very interesting case. You have people who are food delivery, you know, on bikes. And in Indonesia, it is called Gojek. What is the name here? What do you have here? Didi?
Rappi, Didi, Uber.
Is Didi the biggest one? Uber Eats? Uber Eats is the biggest one. So what happened is that one of the drivers in Jakarta, he had an accident. The guy was rolling over him and killing him. But the people in Jakarta, they depend so much on this food delivery, and they have these specific green jackets. So you had hundreds of thousands of green jackets coming to the central part of the city, and they started to protest. And for a certain number of days, we didn't know what may happen, because in Nepal and in Bangladesh, boom, the government has disappeared, and they have to replace this. But in Indonesia, they're saying, no, we have to stay firm, we have to do something, etc. Fine. So this is why the civic society is not really understood and is not really accepted by the politicians. Because in theory, the politicians cannot control you. And if they cannot control you, this is not good for them. They would like to control you. So it can be the government, but it can be the opposition. The opposition also wants to control you because they need you in order to make protests, in order to make everything in the country and so on. In Singapore, there are no protests. This is an authoritarian regime. Authoritarian regime doesn't mean dictatorship, but it is authoritarian. We have elections, and every time we have elections, 90% of seats in the parliament, one party. The same party is ruling the country for the last 60 years. It will rule for the next 60 years. So in that case, they have political stability. And if you are a company, you like political stability because you don't want to negotiate with the opposition because he is coming to power. After 4 years, he is leaving. And now there is a new one coming to power. So you have to negotiate with this one, etc., etc., etc. The companies, multinational companies, even if it is a dictatorship, they like it because there is a stability. They know who is in charge. They know how it will work. But we used to have stability in Iran with the Ayatollah Khamenei for more than 45 years, and now it is no more stability. So now we have to reconsider what the term stability means. In order to finish for your question, we have very much demands coming from the civic society. So the civic society can be expressed either through political parties, but this is not something that you want to do. So in that case, it will be very difficult for you because at the end of the day, as Napoleon used to say, we need one resource to win: money, money, and money. These are the three resources. If your civic movement does not have money, it can last for a few days, but it cannot last for a long period. For a few days, people will come and they're ready to make protests. They don't need to eat. They don't need to drink. They don't need to sleep. They don't need anything for a few days. But after a few days, the reality comes back. So in that case, the civic movements have to be prepared on a long run. And to be on a long run, you need resources. You can ask people to participate. Huh? They will give some money. You are asking them, give me $10, give me $10, etc. You can do this. But on a long run, it is very difficult to do so. So I've seen many of the student protests. I'm coming from a country, there was a student protest. So it was in the year 2000, so it is a long time ago. The leaders of the student protest are now ministers. So it means that the student protest have breed a new generation of politicians. And this can be good, because in that case, you are destroying the old generation of politicians. But it can also be very opportunistic. I am in the students' protest because I believe that 2 years after, I will become a public officer, or I will become a minister. So I have an interest in being in the student protest. So the majority of the students, they have this idealistic approach. They are there because for one cause, but maybe some of the members are not here for that. So it's very difficult to assess. So student protest, I like them very much, but history shows that it ends usually when the student leaders become politicians. This is what happens.
Thank you.
Hey, it doesn't mean you have to stop the protest. Huh? You are young people. When will you protest if you don't protest now? So, but we have to be a little bit cautious.
Good afternoon. My name is Missouri. I
What is
study in
Missouri? Like the state? Is this a...
So.
Oh, okay. Okay. So?
Okay, you talk about the integration, how the answer to increase the influence or power that one middle power can have, no? What is the character about the integration that you imagine? Is only economic area or cultural, social development?
Well, I didn't understand the first part of the question.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about the integration, how
About
the
integration, okay?
how the answer
Yeah.
to the increase the influence or power that one middle power can have. So what is the
right.
character?
The country that integrate.
Yeah. So we can have several ways of integration. Of course, the easiest one is economic integration, because in that case, we are looking at what we can offer and what we can get, what is the price, etc. Fine. After that, political integration is very difficult. We have this in ASEAN. In ASEAN, we have 11 countries. One country is an absolute monarchy. This is Brunei. And after that, you have constitutional monarchies. You have Thailand on one side, and you have Malaysia. And after that, you have secular countries. Mexico is a secular country. But within the secular countries, you have two communist countries. You have Vietnam and Laos. And after that, you have the rest. You cannot have political integration in ASEAN because of the political systems, which are completely different. Here in America, North America, Latin America, you don't have this diversity. You don't have absolute monarchy here. You don't have constitutional monarchies. But in ASEAN, only 11 countries, and you have this kind of diversity. So it's impossible to imagine an integration from the political point of view. From the cultural point of view, ASEAN is a group of complete diversity. In every country, you have ethnic diversity and you have religious diversity. So within the country itself, They have to cope with each other without talking about the rest. So for instance, in Indonesia and Malaysia, you still have indigenous communities. According to their own language, they are called Orang Asli. Orang Asli, you find them in Philippines, in Thailand, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, everywhere. This is the first inhabitants. But as you can imagine, they don't have the power and they don't have the demographic strength opposed to the others. So we have huge diversity of populations, huge diversity of religions. It's impossible to have an integration in this field. And from the cultural point of view, they don't speak the same language. At least in Latin America, you speak the same language. So Eric is coming, he is speaking Spanish. You are speaking Spanish here. You're going to, not Brazil. Brazil. Do you know this country? It's far away, small country. In Portuñol, you are mixing the both languages. So they don't have the same languages. They all speak. Singapore, 75% of population is Chinese. 14% of population is Malay. 11% is Indian. And after that, you have people like me. So it means that you have a huge diversity of languages within the country itself. So it's difficult to integrate with the others. And to finish from the cultural point of view, it is part that we teach in political science, which is soft power. So in the soft power, according to Joseph Nye, you have three dimensions. You have foreign policy, you have values, and you have culture. So we have to see if on these three elements, we can have commonalities. And if you are looking at culture, it must be an integrative element if it does exist. For instance, here in Latin America, you can depend on religion to be an integrative element. But you cannot have this in ASEAN because you have so many religions. So you cannot integrate on this one. On the other side, in the soft power, I can imagine, let's say, some attractive trends. I was on the cathedral yesterday, and in the street, on the place of cathedral, there is one place, Mingxiu, that is the Chinese company, selling bubble tea. You know bubble tea? Do you drink bubble tea here? Who is drinking bubble tea? Raise your hand. Okay, please go away. No. Stay here, stay here. There was a queue. There was a queue of people who wanted to buy this. I took a video of this. So I will send to my people in Singapore. Look how here in Mexico, they're queuing in order to get this bubble tea. But this bubble tea, it was inexistent in Mexico 5 years ago. You never heard about it. And today it becomes a boom. Okay, so in Asia, we have two countries which are becoming very fashionable countries. The first country is Japan. So Japan is very well known for many things, okay? Is Japan present here in Mexico?
Yes.
Hey, do you eat Japanese food?
Yes.
Do you like it?
Yeah. The real one, I don't know.
The
The
what?
real Japanese.
Who cares? It's written in Japanese. You don't even know what it is. Okay, so you can have Japanese food, okay? You know manga? Yeah. Do you read manga? Mariana, do you read manga? No, no. This is not for the school. Huh?
Generation.
Why so?
Manga is so popular with
Ah.
the C generation and what else?
Not really.
No? The people who have 30, 20,
Huh?
early 20s. Yeah.
But there's people, they read manga. Look at them. Huh?
Look at people.
Okay, they're not people. They're students. Okay, so you can have this manga. Have you ever been to Japan? Who has been to Japan?
But
Huh?
you said that
Yeah.
in Una,
In Unam?
there are a lot, well, there are like 4 professors that teach Japanese politics. It's a very important part of the International Relations Center. And there's some delegation, the student delegation to go to Japan.
That's good. And they eat sushi
Yes.
and they read manga. Okay. Okay, fine. The other Asian country is Korea. You know Korea? Do you eat Korean food? Give me one Korean food that you know. Very good. Bibimbap, huh? Okay. But kimchi, do you know that there are several types of kimchi? I was teaching in Seoul, in South Korea. So I was going there, I entered the supermarket, and they say, I want kimchi. And they say, which one? We have 20 kimchi here. This one is 6 months, this one 3 months, this one 1 year. I say, give me kimchi, I don't mind. So the Korean food is coming, and the second thing is the K-pop. You know K-pop?
Our president asked to the,
What did she ask? What did she ask?
someone can tell Professor.
Please tell me what happened. Please tell me. What is your name? Your name. Give her the mic.
It's on
What?
It's
No.
our president.
Did she
sent
dance?
Official letter. Okay.
Please tell me.
Okay. Bonjour, je m'appelle.
Bonjour, bienvenue.
My name is Yoreli. This is a BTS is a K-pop boy band, very very famous. So this band is come to Mexico in May, but BTS obviously sold out in every events in all the concerts is sold out. So
Sold out.
see, yeah, totally, yeah. So the fans army write to the president and make a revolution against to Ticketmaster and these companies. So the president write a letter to the to the Minister of Korea, South Korea, to it's like a petition, like a petition to for like
the
we need
promoters.
to
Okay. So did they come here?
we need 2 more concerts, so I need this like my people want more concerts, so
But did she attend the concert? Huh?
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
What's the name of the
BTS.
BTS?
BTS.
I'm sorry.
Please repeat. Huh? BTS, huh?
That group.
Yeah, that group. Okay. Yeah. Concerts. Because they were sold out. Did she receive them in the National Palace? She should have. Huh?
The answer is, it's not our business.
Okay, fine.
It's a private one.
Yeah.
It's not a private one because the K-pop has been practically invented by the state. And it is called Hallyu. Hallyu is the Korean term for the wave. And it is a governmental project. They paid the first K-pop bands in order to propagate the Korean culture and especially the Korean music. So it didn't happen spontaneously. Now, they're all private. And BTS, for instance, represents today 0.5% of total GDP of Korea.
Oh my gosh.
This group, BTS. It is half of the turnover of Korean Air. And Korean Air is the national airline company that they have there. So we talk about big amount of money. And if we are putting all the K-pop bands together, it represents from 3 to 5% of total GDP. So it is a very big thing. So you should know. Next time I come, you sing, dance, and everything. And
Well,
what happens. Yes.
actually, BTS promotes PIV, the PIV in Korea, in South Korea. BTS is like a percent in the PIV in South Korea.
Yes.
So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
No, it is a big thing because we talk about billions of dollars. And BTS today is an old band. It's an old band when you're looking at them. Now we have younger bands. Do you know the younger band? You don't know. Do you know the female bands? Who knows Blackpink here? Is it?
Good.
Mariana is discovering a new world.
It's a
You see? No. So it means that in order to answer the question about the culture, from the political point of view, it's difficult to integrate because they cannot. From the cultural point of view, they cannot integrate, but they're taking things coming from Korea and from Japan. So these are the two super houses which are producing, let's say, content. For instance, on Netflix, I had one of my former students, and she is now working for Netflix. And she's working for Netflix South Korea. And I asked her, what do you do there? And they produce the series. They produce the different dramas. Did you watch Korean dramas? Mariana? So they produce this. Netflix. Yeah, Turkey, this is a musal salat. This is for Ramadan. So this is what they do. You're right. But you prefer the Turkish one? Why so? Okay. So the lady who was in charge of Netflix production in South Korea, she told me Netflix is giving $2 billion for that. $2 billion. Why so? Because they know they can sell it to other countries. They don't sell only here. Here in the region, we used to have telenovelas. You remember this one? Do they still exist?
Yes,
Do they still exist?
I think so.
Do you watch this? No. Look, they watch the Korean drama, huh?
But not the
But not telenovelas anymore. Huh? It's the same in Panama. So they are moving from one to the other. So it means that, but at the beginning, it was a government project. In Japan, it was Cool Japan project. And they launched it for the Olympic Games. Because 10 years before the Olympic Games, they're saying, we have to make Japan cool. Japan is not cool, huh, as a country. But especially at that time, we had Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And Shinzo Abe is the synonym of not a cool person. So he came to Rio de Janeiro because there was the Olympic Games there. And he took the torch in order to come back to Tokyo. And the people told him, you have to be cool. And he said, "Oh, what does it mean to be cool?" And they say, we will dress you in a cool way. Did you know how he was dressed? I will not tell you, because you all have the smartphones and the laptops. Go on your smartphone and put Shinzo Abe Rio de Janeiro and tell me how he was dressed. You have 30 seconds for that. Now I'm a professor.
You are.
How was he dressed?
How was he dressed? What?
He was dressed like Super Mario. Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan. So we cannot say that it is something happening spontaneously. They are doing it on purpose, but there is a government push. So here, I expect that the government will push a little bit during the FIFA Cup. If they don't do it, it's their mistake. Sorry for saying this. But this is what will happen. Okay. Another question?
Okay, this is a question, please, Mr. Lutman. Yes, and there we have two upstairs.
Okay. Hi, my name is Akira and I'm also studying international relations. My question related to Saturday event was, do you think Iran can be considered an indispensable country in the international system? And how might that affect whether the USA view Iran as a military threat or a growing potential military superpower?
So you're talking about Iran, is that right? Okay.
Yes.
So concerning Iran, I will tell you how my friends in the GCC are viewing this. It was the same thing as in ASEAN or in Asia. There was like a deal after the fall of Saddam Hussein. We used to have a Gulf War or the Desert Storm, 2 Gulf Wars. They killed Saddam Hussein. And after they killed Saddam Hussein, there was a deal between the United States and the Gulf countries. And the deal was the following one. You give us access to oil, and on the other side, we give you protection. So this is why the United States, they have built these military bases in all Gulf countries except Oman. So I will go back to this later on. The Gulf countries, there are 6 of them. So in 5 countries, we have military bases. In 1 country, we don't have a military base. So this is why Dubai has flourished, because Dubai was saying nothing can happen to us. We have the umbrella coming from America, and no one will go against America. So we can follow our development. We don't need to invest in military. This will be done by Abu Dhabi and not by Dubai. So they use, what is the term? They label Dubai as the playground for the adults. And you play everything. You play economy, you play business, you can play politics, you can play everything. So they love this bubble that they created in Dubai. And suddenly they realized that Iran has indicated, first thing, that the attack is a breach of international law. And the second thing, that all American possessions and military bases are becoming legitimate targets wherever they are. So they cannot bomb Missouri in the United States because it's far away. But the country where I go to is Bahrain, very small country. The 5th fleet of the United States is based there. And this 5th fleet is commanding the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is where all the tankers are going to with oil and everything. So they're targeting. I was calling people on Sunday in Bahrain in order to see what is happening to them. And they were saying that they were bombing, especially the military base. Everybody knows where is the military base in Bahrain. Everybody knows where is the military base in Kuwait. So now these countries have been attacked. So the question is, can the United States really protect us? Or maybe it is an illusion because Iran is attacking, the United States is not protecting us, so we are a little bit lost. An indication of this, so it was 2 days ago in Kuwait, 3 planes, American planes, have been shot down by the Kuwaitis. So I asked my friend in Kuwait, what is happening there? And he told me they didn't ask the permission to go through our airspace, so we shut them down. What is happening? It means that we don't have friends, we don't have people who can protect us. So it means that this event, which is not over yet, we don't know in which direction it will go to, but this event is, for now, asking very big questions about the sincerity of American commitment. Is America really, let's say, staying or standing up to the position that they used to have in the past? And in Asia, they look at this very carefully, especially Taiwan. Taiwan is saying, what will happen to us if China is attacking? Will the United States will help us? Japan is asking the same question. Korea is asking, if North Korea is attacking South Korea, will the United States help us? The whole world now is looking at this because we used to live in a situation when we took for granted that the United States is giving protection And maybe today it is no more the case. So let's wait how the things are unfolding. But many countries are extremely worried about that. We put aside the question of Iran, etc., for the people in the Gulf and the people in Asia, they're extremely worrying about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's another question upstairs, please. In doing so, well, I want to say hello to the Minister of the Embassy of Panama and also your friend of the Embassy of Ukraine. Welcome
here.
to the Faculty of Political Social Science, Calls Polacas.
So you can ask him questions after this.
Also, you, I don't know, we allowed to?
Of course. Not here, but you can talk to him. Huh?
Perfect. So also we can have questions about the Ukraine. Please, Raki.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Esperanza. I'm also an international affairs student. Well, according to some authors that we have read on our course, we are currently undergoing a process of deglobalization as global institutions are losing strength and also legitimacy. In contrast, there are growing efforts to establish regional agreements, especially, I think, among the middle and small powers who are aiming to build closer relations with major economies. But could regional trade blocs eventually replace global trade institutions? Because I don't really think that we are moving towards a more regionalization panorama, but I don't know what do you think, or what could you tell us about this?
Okay. Very good question. So concerning the first part, it was not about integration. What was the first thing that she mentioned? Can you repeat the first part of your question?
Deglobalization.
Deglobalization. Okay. Deglobalization, this is also a polymorphous word because it means several things. I remember a long time ago when the term has been proposed and popularized. He did not invent, it was Theodor Levitt, and he was a professor of marketing. And he proposed the term globalization. In his mind, it means that we are going in a world where we are eliminating the barriers of exchanging goods, people, capital, technology, and everything. And we are going only one way. And this way means it cannot be stopped. Okay. So this was the meaning, that it was unstoppable and it was irreversible. We cannot go back. Okay. So all this was good and fine until 2016. So the first event is the first election of Donald Trump, when he introduced in 2018 the different tariffs, but also the Brexit. For the first time in the European Union, one country has decided to pull out. And I remember that time. We are in 2016. In many countries in the European Union, they started to panic because they were asking who is next to leave the European Union. So it means that there's two events were masking, let's bit, not a stop, but slowing down globalization. But what killed globalization was the COVID, because the COVID immediately stopped all exchanges between the countries. I remember that time. In France, they didn't have masks because all masks have been produced in China, and they didn't have masks. And maybe you remember at that time, you have to be vaccinated. You remember this? Are you vaccinated? Who is not vaccinated here? Don't be shy. Do you know people who are not vaccinated? This guy here? No, that was the time where we didn't have the vaccines. Very few countries were having the vaccines. And it was the vaccine diplomacy, or they were weaponizing the vaccines. And they're saying, I'm giving vaccines to you because I like you. The other ones, no. I'm Pfizer. I don't have quantities for everyone. So I'm choosing where to go to. Either you pay, or I like you, or give me something in exchange, whatever. It's a private company, this Pfizer. So they were looking for profits when they want this. Now we had other vaccines. We have vaccines from China. Do you know these vaccines from China? The Sinovac and the Sinopharm. Sinovac and Sinopharm, they say, we'll give them for free to some countries because you didn't have access to Moderna and you didn't have access to Pfizer. So they give it for free. So did you take it? Of course, because you didn't have anything else. Do you know the Russian vaccine?
Yes.
The Sputnik. Same thing. So they're saying we will give them for free, etc. I had, just as an anecdote, I had a group of people coming to Singapore for water. And there were some Pakistani there. And I asked them, okay, where do you work? And they say, we work in Kazakhstan, we work in this place, etc. Fine. I asked them, are you vaccinated? I say, yes. And I asked them, how many shots did you get? How many shots did you get here? Two? Just two? Who had three? Okay, because three was the, let's say, norm. I asked him how many shots, and he says 7.
Wow.
I asked him, why do you have 7? Are you a human being? Maybe you have become an alien? Who knows? But he told me, this is where politics is coming. If I want to go to China to work, I need the Chinese vaccine. If I want to go to Russia, I need the Russian vaccine. If I want to work in other countries, I need Moderna or I need the other one. So I need all of them. I say, wow, and you're still alive. So deglobalization, the term deglobalization is a very old term, more than 25 years. And it is coming from a Filipino economist. And this Filipino economist, Mr. Beldo, he didn't talk about the United States and China. He was saying that the multinational companies were going global and they imposed global products everywhere. And they imposed global culture everywhere. So he was saying, we have to take back the control of our country. So he proposed the term globalization in this direction. That is to take control of our country. While today, in 2026, deglobalization has nothing to do with this one. Today, deglobalization is between the United States and China. Because the other countries, they still continue to produce. The international trade did not go down. The international trade continues. But we are so obsessed with the United States and China that everything that happens between them is perceived as a global phenomenon. So this is why we are looking at that. But the other countries, no. ASEAN, this is more than 700 million people. This is more than twice the population in the United States. So they can continue. India, first demographic power in the world. So other countries, they still exist. But we are so obsessed with the United States and China that we see everything through the prism of the relationship between the United States and China. So this is why we talk about deglobalization. One of the aspects of the deglobalization is sanctions. Because tariffs is one, but sanctions is the other one. Tariffs, you can continue to deal with the country. You are simply paying more tariffs. And that's it. But you can continue. Huh? If the customers are willing to pay 2 or 3 times more, why not? You're just continuing. But sanctions, no. Sanctions, they're telling you, you cannot deal with this country anymore. And we had this example concerning sanctions for one company that you probably know. It's a small company called McDonald's. Hmm? Do you know this company?
Sir.
Have you been there?
The vegan?
The vegan version of McDonald's. Yes, yes. It must be this one. So there was a question concerning McDonald's. Should they continue to operate in Russia or should they continue to operate in Israel? We have 2 examples here. And the decisions that the headquarters in Chicago are taking concerning these two isolated situations is extremely indicative how the global companies are entering in the arena. So when you're talking about the integration can be done on the government level. But in terms of business, they don't do anything. It is private companies doing. So the private companies, they can integrate before the countries they do. They don't care. For instance, Coca-Cola, we have 193 countries in the United Nations. They're present in more than 210 places. So we have, if someone knows what is international business, what is international trade, or what is foreign policy, it is Coca-Cola. They have been present there for quite a long time. And we have countries which are quite new. In the case of Singapore, they celebrated last year 60 years of independence. They did not exist before, but Coca-Cola was there, Nestle was there, Shell was there. So there's people, they have been there for quite a long time. They know how these countries operate. So if I have to talk about integration, I would ask people who have been there for quite a long time to help us to integrate. I won't put them aside. I know that in many cases, we are opposing public interest and private interest, and we don't want to put them together. And in international relations, obviously, you're putting public interest first. But you cannot do anything without the private one. So we must find a way how to cooperate between the two. Because if you don't find a way, you can dream about integrations. If the companies don't want to integrate, it will not happen. Yeah.
Is there another question? No? Okay. Really? Okay. But a short one, please. And a short one, please. Question, a short one. There's, this one is coming. The king of the micro.
It's a personal question. So, can you talk about the time to? Can you talk about your education in science boot? Because I want to go to this university, so I need references about this.
Which
community.
For Sciences Po?
Yeah, science boot.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I can complement this question.
Yes.
If you want to give an advice from the Mexican students, these ones, students, how do you say it to them?
Okay, so first question concerning Sciences Po. This is the Institute of Political Science that we have in several places in France. But the main one is obviously in Paris. So when you say Sciences Po, everybody believes it is Paris. But it can be Lille, it can be Lyon, it can be something else. So this is a place where traditionally was the compulsory place to go if you want to have a certain number of, I would say, professions. So one profession was public service. So they trained people for public service. So it means local public service. So it can be the prefects, it can be the administration, it can be anything, or the transmission of the state to the local level. So this is public service. Okay. There was a second branch. The second branch is economy and finance. So these people were trained in order to go for political economy, in order not to serve domestic politics, but to serve the economy of the state. And France is a centralized state for a very long time. So it means that the main decisions are made in Paris concerning the whole state, especially economic decisions. And the third stream is foreign relations. So for the people who wanted to be diplomats, they have to go to this one. And after this one, you have what we call a concours in France. So how do we call it in Spanish?
Concurso.
Concurso? Okay. So you have this concours for the different places. I know my concours that was familiar with. This is the concours of the Orient. The concours of the Orient is talking about the Middle East and Eastern Europe. So they put them together. So you have to learn the languages of the Middle East, usually Arabic, but you also need to learn the languages of Eastern Europe at that time. So there were three directions. Today, they have modified them a little bit because there is no more a compulsory way how to go to diplomacy. You can go to diplomacy through different ways. You can come from a university, you can come from a business school, you can come from a law, you can come from something else. You don't need to go through this one. But this was the tradition. When I was young like you, this is how it worked. So my personal education was, I was at the Sorbonne University first. So this is where my BA is coming from. And after that, I went for my third master's degree at Sciences Po and my doctorate at Sciences Po. So this is the path that I used to have. But again, I am an immigrant. When I came to France, I didn't know a word of French. Nothing. Everything that I did was the opportunity given by friends to me. And you have to seize opportunities when they come. So this is my advice. And opportunities, they can come in unforecastable ways. You cannot even imagine when the opportunities come. But if the opportunity is there, you have to take it. Either you know one person, or you know something to do, or you know that something will happen, and in that case, you're going this way. And my experience shows that even if you're an immigrant, even if you come from a low-income family, which was my case, there is a possibility how to progress. There is a possibility how to succeed. So I don't like people who say, I cannot succeed because I don't have money. I cannot succeed because my parents cannot help me. This is not true. It is up to you to make your own future. So be optimistic and be bold, and hopefully you will succeed. I will stop there.
Thank you so much. Well, we have something special from lavanda for you.
From lavanda?
Lavanda.
I know lavanda in France. Is it the same thing?
Now, remember that lavanda, it's a few students that work
Okay.
like a research assistant.
There's people here?
This is the people. So
This is the people?
lavanda gives you the present.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And also, this is the diploma of the Center of International Relations for your talk.
Okay.
So thank you so much for coming at UNAM
Thank you very
to
much.
share your
It was my
knowledge.
pleasure. It was my pleasure to come here.